When I speak to people about Alpaka, the first two objections I have to overcome are often that they use Outlook to organise themselves and perhaps the wider company, and Excel for timesheets and recording absences and holiday requests. Alpaka does both of those two things as a consequence of you using your regular calendar. So by the time we've created the rules and created the consequences of you using Alpaka to replace Outlook and Excel, the entire business process has gone away and everything is automatic. So what I want to do is very quickly show you that Alpaka is a collaborative calendar where I can see what everybody is doing in the company right now. There are all the people, then there's 2 vehicles, and then there's 2 rooms. So straight away I can see what's taking place right now. If I add an event into my calendar, first thing to point out is that we have types of events, and each of these types of events comes with a set of rules. So I'm going to make an appointment, which is a meeting with a client. And then I'm going to invite my colleague Victoria to join us. We're going to use the meeting room, and the client that's coming is Bob Smith. And from Bob Smith, the client, will be Sam Stevens. I can tag this meeting with some thing relevant to the meeting, and we're going to talk about project management. I can also create text message or email reminders which will be automatically generated and sent to the interested parties. But more about that later. So right now, my meeting with a client, with a room and the client nominated and the contact that's coming, is going into our schedule. And you can see that now involves Victoria, myself, and that meeting room. So very quickly, the Alpaka calendar helps us report on more about how we spend our time. When I go to myself in this list and go to my statistics, we'll see that in February I have 56 hours of my time has been given over to appointments and nearly 5 hours is in draft. Other kinds of appointments in here is the expo that I went to. I spent 8 hours at an expo. In meetings, I had 46.5 hours with 10 hours in draft. So these are confirmed and these are draft. And in January, I had nearly 5 hours. Now imagine if I'd been using this calendar for ages with many more members of staff than just myself. I would have also built up a picture of annual leave and my absence. And looking at the statistics this way helps me build a picture of how often someone is off, how often they take their leave, and perhaps even the reasons why absences are all bunched together in certain months or spread out across the year. The other thing I can do now is if I go to my timesheets, I already have one created for February, and in fact, because this is take 2, I've already populated it. So what I'm going to do is delete everything that's in my calendar and show you just how fast I can create February's timesheet by accessing my calendar. It shows me everything that's in there and just adding all those events. So with one click, I've created my February timesheet, and it shows me that I've done 110 hours and a quarter for February. It tells me how that breaks down. And at this stage, if I weren't the boss, it would be asking my department managers or whoever is in charge of signing off my time to do exactly that. Now, speaking of sign off, I may be the boss with regards to my timesheet, but I still have to ask permission to go on holiday. So here's the other advantage of using Alpaka as a calendar. If I jump forward to June, for example, to an empty fake calendar, and in this day in June, I would like to go on annual leave. Annual leave comes with a rule, and the rule is someone has to sign it off. Now, whoever is in that workflow, when I have awaiting approval set here for this day in June, and I submit that, that will go through a workflow and ask somebody's permission for me to go on annual leave. And at the point at which they make their decision, this would become approved. So you can see Alpaka has consequence and rules and limits and things that we design into the way that it works to match the way that your company works. And when you use your calendar, the advantage is that you no longer have to fill in your timesheets and you no longer have to make holiday requests on paper the hard way where things can get lost and go wrong. So hopefully, if your objection was that we use Outlook Calendar and we use Excel timesheets, You've seen enough in this movie to perhaps prompt you to ask questions of how this might be relevant and useful to your company.